Asamoah.
Yo. Hello, Bishop from Basho Motimenka.
Papa, yetunkapa.
Good. Yeah, my na sister but Agnes Nana LED out Nana.
Achale.
Aha, well done. Thank you. Thank you for leading it beautifully. Oh yeah, na come up. I mean, sure. They say next time, no, I think say Parliament fort na say be more be speaker kakra because so coordinating the come up. Na Uncle Edin so and our title when it hope 2 titles Uncle near the enti the dancing so on come watch your mind. That's a beautiful song, very reflective. And my edwene yen akwanya ye wo se nipa eni nyame achede ode ama ye nti ye da ye nyina ya se for se nyame dia be hia mu biem so wo hwe a me wo asonda ho na in fact and then internet na play up kakra nti mesrɛ mo se twitwitwi bia ba mu a na eda ko esi mesrɛ wa text me na me hu se bia kasa na America no monte ana se eyina
Okay.
Yeah. Now, this will be about the 3rd time share for the book of Romans, and the letter or the epistle to the Romans. Now, so what do we book in content for any makakra yesua ewe yachina and a better test kakra inti Mr. Mobia kaka de yesua na kakra na. In fact, we start here church remarks inti Obi am more than so be my answer. In fact, one person may be no one can answer and not just a mouse. It's a better try say very recap, you be kaka de yesua abedru kakra na. Ngoma yesua na se nyam ye ngoma nim. As you 2 lessons and a 3rd lesson. But in your aka home, you say be boama. Ye be mo nyame amante ase aye pene yen saka. Enti so far obi betimi ne match ba de ba ko ana mienu a wo kai a to ne team obetimi ne ya che Ediana ya ka ho asem so far abasa wo kai a betimi ne ya che
Kaisa Paul Titus, which is the current place of not Italy, no, Turkey. Tarsus, yes. And I feel so. Ochro book we Romans for no. Na Roman for no. Chokoma, I'm Setama Chokoma, I'm not Onyanko Hono. Name I think some young Lusu, Miss Robin Wami. Oyumwa.
Medica cry at Wasano. Satam na Onyanko, now just a woman cry. And so now Safono Edana Kumaso, Dino, or dress Akra take on a fee. Or some year when you say, Ukraine Paul Crate or Troy, Nipa breeding who are dancing say, to say, I influence Nipa breed. If it's all here quiet or fast, we are then Troy and one. Yams are the anymore, you will say Nipa what to say, when say Augustine, Martin Luther, John Wesley, Nipa Bia, so the book of Romans, nya so just nya so nsunsanso ye. The amezo the best no.
Thank you. Eda Kofi Woka Martin Yoka John Wesley as a Minka Bibi Kitu was I to us. John Wesley, I saw a Ben or tea, a movement Ben or tea.
Methodist.
Now Obe will know I saw a Ben so for. Presby. Okay. I think so. As an Anglican minister.
Anglican.
That's right. And that is a very interesting thing. So, what do you the course and within Methodism? And the course I know said about a week or so ago. Was this Friday, week or more? Methodist Conference of England. FRC new rules to be on LGBT sexuality and but now how they started and how and how a different from you see your roots free Methodist and but that's for a different day. Now me can we say but to us no be person casa about Romans dear yes.
The main kind the reason here ma Paul Troy. I'm the Roman hono na the kai no na Jewish for and hono and a Gentile for no nom na esum. Emra almost some name send when you went to kakra a woman and one of the governors or emperor ne buy and or palm Jewish for na a free ho. So palm free hono the church mostly the Gentiles. And another emperor by now my Jewish for no quine say mumra. One buy no not just say Gentile for no dominate, but not Jewish for no not just still now when you want to be a star rise so honor. Now the honor ma Paul a car Paul or Charles Romans epistle no and come out.
Okay, yeah, elder, I say. The other reasons that motivate the Australian, but this is a very important reason. Okay. The say, Nanka question, maybe Bisano, why did Paul write the epistle to the Romans? No, elder, a question about the top of my NT, but Mumma obi ba ewo ba akwa na mienu bi a ode be ka ho so fa ni ma yesu. Okay. Hey, I said the mema no nko na kasa you no ma sheda. All right. Okay. And yen to as well. Enti yehu niama kakra about the book any niama no. Afa there elder kwesi kan ho asem sesia no the 4 stages of the Jewish church aye kan ho asem no. Enti yehu se eno no boa ema yekọ enwoma ni mo no. Yetimi ehunu how the purpose aim for the Troy no yet some of the verses yet here. Now me bebusa ensem bisa mienu bi amaye de ahwase ensem bisa mienu de di kan very clear and direct question yet also mienu a scenario na fe ye de ebie enwoma nim. The first question say which group destroys the church and hurt others the most? I don't like using the phrase destroying the church because obedient means saying I'm sorry. But there are 2 opposing groups in every congregation. Bracknell Amoho ebi oho. Landing Ghana ebi oha. Oko Ghana ebi oho. General Conference ebi oho. And these groups, and I'm person here, triad niswa musi here. The kind the spirituals. Now, these are the people who focus on things. Of course, one said things must be done in the most clear way. Almost focus on how things must be done. Say in a dinner was here. So why you say and actually say untie nyamiasem. And as long as me sua me hunu say na was here no ne de. E was say ye yenesa, why yenesa any asoro ndi besi. In fact, it could be sometime quoting the law and now say be a new insight, be a what say more and certain standards and our values to be. And now said they want to force the whole church to be like them. Sometimes quote be Ezekiel chapter 3 verse 18 say God will hold me responsible. Inti say ebe how say en how say be proud say proud me di me nyame so adwuma na me ye. Inti I call them the spirituals. And we have the opposing group, from the liberals. Omodie adomono very, very important to them. They say, I don't know, we are Diana untumi enye emanu nye pay. In fact, Namekrasi will be any as so perfect. It I don't know the we said you be to be an baby. Sometimes they quote Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 20 says, surely there is not a righteous man on earth who does good and never sins. One any boneda. Bible Jesus Christ say you only boneda kra won't buomo bad. They don't try to make anyone righteous or perfect. They don't look at standard be anything goes as much as possible. But these two groups, no be sorry, no be a penkwaje, no be our rationale. It's about 5 minutes. Now, Mohammed, would you say which of the two groups in a bit the most problems? By the way, Mempe answer say, "Omunyinabe pose problems." Of course, Omunyinabe pose problems, but we want the one which will probably be the most problematic in the church. Mohammed, 24. But how much must I say? Okay, good. Okay, to the spirituals and the liberals.
Me my dream dear. Yeah, Onyankopon su. Onyankopon ade eduabane si edin trumo o cement eduabane ni. Ena enipa kwatudi ye. Nipa kwati wakwati diabane edio. Why you know also did the same. Nanso no Onyankopon de okan na no. I was a bem. I don't know. It had to take somebody to die for it, for this that sin. Say okan and I would say here no, I will classify God as the spiritualist group. In the sense that the wakano. I don't know what's here. You can not know if and but. But then ye who say yes, Christo by and so no. As you for no and now cornfield no more now or mabubu now more day, they're breaking the Sabbath rules. And me acquire me so me feel say we these two people no, if we work together in peace there, I think we can move the church forward. That is what I believe. That's what I think.
Okay, good. But mami move out to the next, say, into only in your estimation, in assuming someone as on them more. Why group do I they pose the most problem to the church? A bit me cause a lot of division problems. Is it the spirituals or the liberals?
I think the spiritual can cause problems. Can cause problem to the church. But I won't necessarily think their stand is wrong. Because the liberal, the danger is that my liberals they will introduce so many things which the church cannot accommodate in the church. For example, I mean, a liberal would think that if you come to church and dress anyhow, at the end of the day, we are not all perfect. Yeah. But obviously, that can pose a problem for the church. And at the same time, spiritualists can be very, very straight to the sense, it can have effect on us because, look, I'm not grown to the standard now, it's gradual that, near the other. So they can put people off because you come dressed inappropriately, they will say, hey, that is not, Memphis dress name. Only a crowd winning your home pa, or quite maybe. Obi be kasa chrow up and fat sa puppet no hono, don't go there. Because a hoya concrobia. But so the both of them can be a problem for the church, to be honest with you. That's what I think.
Okay.
But I think that there is more dangerous with the liberals. In the sense that while here the worldly things, I be great church. I mean, let's look at SDA. Maybe started SDA. Your bomb in 1982. How would who asa as the Isaiah song ne binim? Because Ashton was started as Sebi, and gradually now it has become norm in the church. Say, which now saw that now we shake you all those things. So that would be considered liberal people who think that we have to praise God and all those things. So I think both of them are very dangerous. I think both of them can cause a problem for the church.
Okay, elders, you come back to the two at the same. Watch it, come. Let me listen to another person. Let me tell you. What I'm trying to tease out is which of the groups will pose the most problem. Anyone, Obi or Hobby.
Okay, Memfa kakra bi matter the spirituals, you focus now or watch on the third one, obedience. Obi would di rasu bebrebia no nipa who say or you strict or you rigid or to me a create confusion, but near minimum impo we are see so abusia na wa fa and she share pebian to ho more ban a bejon seb to the bio hono obedience no ye kase ye nyina bedi fufu and Shabaya, Mamma no or one brave no. And then men only for me at tears there, but call family be more. I could be more, when to me purpose here. And But take him, I'm in about 6 hours now. Would you jare? And I'm say, young fan, she share pa, and ye, a judgmentino. Na de sa basa, you know, and eba. Nti di emraswa ya nebo pa na so ni pampe emrasu di baby a ye be shamra na ni o enforce emra no ni panyina fi se bia ni trimoding na so no antisa nyame a obo ni wias nyankopon hu se what we ejeje mu saa nipa ebebeye niema ensem fata enu nti ena nyame bo yen ode emra ene enhihyepa ede to my nti minim se spirituals no from there eyepa anso no so ugina pintin bebrea uni anu nyina betina wo masawo and that is the danger no more no yes you betie nyame since betie nipa
good
that's it
Eda chenso asi ye any abofo ni nyina now Ebianka, one question maybe say, do you think that answering this question is difficult? And Ebia, say me tier 2 responses are there. The answer is yes.
Yes.
If we say, I say, Obia were good and bad, where do you draw the line? Now, the entire Mebusa question we say, so far the yes, I believe that you are beginning to appreciate the problem facing Paul when it comes to the Roman house churches. And this is the same problem that whether in the past, whether it is now or the future, this is the number one problem every single one of us will be dealing with. Because so we study here, you can't be in any group. In fact, there is no middle ground. You to me accept anyone on its own. Surely, and it's very, very difficult. Now, it is so serious to say, dear, Mr. Chair Canon, dear, or yet, the philosophy in obedience. Anything obey because I want to be obedient, na me right with Nyaminintino. From cloth I this table so to decoration I want a son demo to a tardia was here share to a diania was here to book was here every single detail. Mibusam said send and Yamepasi. And sometimes it makes things very, very tricky because you always want to be so much focused with God to the extent to say, even if a bit with me and I said, it doesn't matter. Sadly, that is the reality. But on the other side is the liberals. Anything goes. And then where do you draw the line? Because Enra don't know mobile back and Enra and then there's no absolute standard. But what do you do? I want you to think about this because you better answer this question at the end of the book. The second question I'm asking is a scenario. And this is the scenario. PAM SDA Church. Now, in PAM SDA Church, some people think of themselves as holier. For that matter, they do not accept, since they were near accept very much those considered liberals. In PAM Honor there, the issue not very clear. Those who are unholy and less concerned about spiritual matters. The question here says, these are the two groups, holy and liberals and spirituals, no room. In a wenya akwenya, so person will throw krata a comma woman to address this very issue. Wait me actually me a dear ba kwa ebian kabem ubeka ho asem yie pa. Ubetro no ubeka so bema inka koho pa in your letter. I will track mom. Wait me ma share. So we throw letter come pam SDA church. SDA church ni holy apo ni ewo spiritual wom. In a person will throw letter. A comma woman. A dear in a bit focus on. What will you include in the letter? We debate me about and then maybe bet me actually maybe. Okay, to become love and wasn't. Okay, thank you, Elder.
Yes, basically.
City obedience. Hey, obedience and say, and you're not holy upon any. Omeka say, no crowd or trouble and a crowd can say more liberals may unholy for any one.
What the yes basically money so first?
Okay, what do you use to until you present God? Jesus. Okay, Matthew Gideon. You can't love, you can't order. Obedience means that that's what now. Okay, you can't obedience, you can't Yesu. Who the Yesu basically? Okay.
I think the may address people are fees only holier. No one is holier except Christ. So I will address that.
Okay. Until you only focus on one side.
Now I'll focus on the first, and no one is holier, and then I'll start introducing Christ to them and how we are all sinners, and no one is righteous except the only one, and therefore no one should consider each other a sinner than the other. We are all sinners. And quoting some Bible text to confirm that. And even Isaiah even can say, our good deeds is like a filthy rag before God.
Yeah.
And therefore to justify, what we think, we are holy or not, we are not as we think. And as our sinful nature, we have some weak points. Everybody has a weak point in this journey that we are taking. And therefore, we should rather seek righteousness in Jesus Christ than anything else by our deeds. Not by our deeds, but righteousness through Jesus Christ. And then I'll focus on the first. They have to accept Christ as Jesus, the Savior, pray without ceasing, read the scriptures, and then fellowship with God by witnessing. So that I'll address this in the letter to them.
Good.
Asamoah.
You take one can into us.
Pastor,
sorry, go on.
I think that I'll probably focus on the importance of not going too extreme on if you'll be a person who is a spiritual. I'll tell you, say, that Joey and the Yankee, but Abia in so yeah go to a stream. For example, no, I'm say a shit and go for na MP yes Christo asem na no more to a stream make a phone. Yeah, no more to a stream. Emma, Omukamo esanso a day and maybe a nanny hon as I count Yakupon Emma. And on the other hand, as the matter catch almost swap almost your module say, which me a baby of a beyond so say, among the uncle to a stream because say almost if someone if she among your careful almost because it Onyankopon kwa no oni any kind of yibia standard. So Onyankopon any kind of standard biadia any na ejebe no begina so ede abuye aten. I mean, yeah, and for me, I'll try to help you to understand the importance of us having a well-rounded understanding of God, who God is, rather than I'm focusing on the extreme end of the that's what I will say to them.
Thank you very much, so for a very, very good illustration to bring some sort of leverage in the letter. Now, Mestre Pacho Obi Emie Romans chapter 3 verses read from 22 and 23. Emma Pacho Obi Bia Betinia Kaimai. Actually, start from 21 to 23. Romans.
Chapter 3, verse
3 verse 21 to 23.
Okay, me too, Nyankopon. Was saying, I feel one quatim ray and you, Nyankopon Trinity. And one dance siena, and one dance and a deep foodie. Na you, Nyankopon Trinity, I am yes, Christo, who did you so? Shane 1 hour did the na eba won nyina so na eba won nyina so ansusuye biara nim efi se won nyina ayebone na onyankopon animunyam abo 23 no.
Okay, yeah, medase pa so tie response la question ne so for the man ne the abeba nyina na 21 started say, but now the righteousness of God apart from the law is revealed. In fact, the Holy Quran then here says, so we towards the end of 22 now say, for there is no difference. No one to us say, I didn't know there is no difference. If we say, for all have sinned and have fallen short of the glory of God. In fact, what kind of message Bible, which I think is a very contemporary interpretation now, or say, for no one is capable. So we are liberal, so we are spiritual. The idea said, "Whoa, you have the best way." At this point, you see Paul is addressing that. And it is really interesting. Other people, it gives you a straight insight into what Paul is going to do in the book of Romans. And this is the heart. And I believe that So you drew her, you will now be able to understand, because the situation I'm at the pump is the Asoria, you know, similar to the same situation of the past of the spirituals and the liberals. I can't them. And the same situation that was happening in Rome, and it's the same situation that is happening now. And until we will be to say Martin Luther. He saw, say, the church has become too liberal on a lot of things. And what did he start? The protest, was say, no, we need to find our obedience back. It was a call back to obedience. And it is through that protesting, in a man, all these new denominations are a buama say purity, holiness, all this, we have some of the, they said the Anabaptists, the Puritans, the Quakers, were on the side, said, Bonena was already not door, so the church has been so liberal, and let's go back to the spiritual. Say, Osha, a lot of people also think, say, the church has been too spiritual. People are I also a JMO Kakre, I also a man Yamamu, go from the we can reach out to other people. There is some sense of movement towards liberalism. I don't think I've been to say the Methodist for the year. I'm not saying it's a Adventist, I'm talking about church in general. I don't think Methodist Conference England, because no, for 30 years, I discuss here, I say, will be a gay out in years of war. I am an years of war, we say, a nippany baby or why more money. And you see the danger, so they're not at a question, the danger between focusing only on one side. Listen, there is going to be a time where you think, say, will be so liberal. The book of Romans will teach you, say, let that person be your best friend. Love the person, speak to the person. Do whatever you want to do with the person, because Paul, throughout in the 7th, he'll be talking about the mind, the mind, the mind. Let's talk, let's reason, let's reason, let's reason. But I like 12 chapter verse 2, or say the renewal of your mind, your mind, your mind, your mind. So be was sorry, not so you're too strict. I said, on one corner, have the be beyond the shell, chin. That's who said, if I know the spiritualism, no pamonko. But that is why the book of Romans is there to help you to love lessons here and move further, because there are times you need the spirituals, there are times you need the liberals, but we all need to hold hands to hands and work together and let the church of God move forward. A brain into, and then I'm going to skip the other section I want us to go in. And some but because the person will be in here started the text, straight into. I'm sure Motimenka. Good. So then come the division of the Bibles, but actually because the Bible has a very interesting history. I'm just going to say this, but here you throw Bible not as a scroll. You throw not as a scroll. But you hear the left side now. In fact, your picture be what I say. And say in a Bible, there were fragments and there were scrolls. So more and more very interested in some more British library. There was a whole section of the history of the Bible. It's a very beautiful area. In fact, it talks about all kinds of scriptures and documents from some of the manuscripts. Bible, if we move. One person reading more about it, and there we have a book, obituary and a light spot. Very, very good book, which talks about. In fact, what will be want a PDF for her, I can send it to you. Which talks about the history and it's the Bible is here. But now I wanted to make a point. And Sana Yakum, sometimes you need to be very careful when you are reading Bible, not so reading of verses, because the actual manuscripts don't have any chapters, don't have any verses, don't have anything. They just have the points I'm making. And so the letter Paul, and it was just one big letter trying to address all kind of things in scrolls. Or Sunday. There are times I'll be who say, yes, no, the beginning, and which is chapter 1, I could be a bit to say, I mean, the introduction or Troy, and if could be chapter 1, in the could be chapter 16. It is a worship book, and I say, it doesn't make sense, Papa. And it's very, very important to say at TRCS. There are sometimes I bear what we call cross study. Into Yebehuno, Babia, based on the way a tronic chrono and the script, it suggests to say it actually grouped together as part of the introduction. And I'll be visa. Now, I'm just going to skip these ones because and I say if you a trace and go straight into the Bible. Good. And the last time I make a some na so be on the Bible or you best start here go through chapter 1, Romans chapter 1. But another word that you ecology. Ecology. Now, Elipa Bebre ehunu say Romans, another book of Romans, is also a book of human ecology. Now, you can't ecology. I mean, you say the municipal church say tree. Maybe I just said that because we need the tree. We need the tree, but what they said the and then ecologists simply it's a human relationship. So we see a tracker that will be in term, any friend ecology. You can't. Ecological system, you heard the relationship between living things, animals, Asamoah, your environment, sanitation, air, all these things and how one relates to the other in your friend ecology, the relationship. Now it's really interesting to say it seeks to understand the vital connections between plants and animals and the world around us. That is ecology. Now, when we say Romans, a book of ecology, you will see, Paul, actually, he didn't write as if so were righteous, and he doesn't care about anything else. He understood the ecology of the church, the ecology, baby, political situation, values, culture, and he looked at the human being, Rome, Christopher, Jew, Gentiles, he looked at them and tried to address the issue holistically. And that is something, a good lesson human ecology says the science of relationships, patterns, and processes of interaction of humans with the environment, into your values, your wealth, your lifestyle, and then you can dressing, resources used. When him said dressing, discussion, I discuss what's on them. It is not okay. So my Bible, I can say into mateki and no. You have a lot of examples in the Bible. Say you need to take the Bible in its context and also consider the ecology of the Bible when you are reading. And for example, say obi mekai say meaning say time where Christianity bar Ghana. There are a lot of the Presbyterian churches. Say corporate that's why mortaya. Because we are not fit. My own sorry. In fact, as you are sorry, could be bear. And the idea of having a decent dress is good. Of course, we must encourage it. But if we look at the Bible in its ecological terms, you probably would agree with somebody like Ifemamu, who saw, say, tradition, monosu be to tune to ma, that's what friend kente, a sign of reverence, so kosumyame. But also, the environment in Ghana suggested, say, or that is even a better ecological dressing. for you to choose any biblical term to say, Obi to say, I'm saying Mamu because he is the standout character. I'm just trying to make the point. Say, when we are studying the Bible, we must also look at our relationship with ourselves as a nipa, our relationship with the environment. In Pomua, for example, most Ghanaian churches they will have a problem, because community has the dog no anything. And in our thinking, in our planning, sometimes we must understand the people, their values, and see how your teachings can help them to worship God and serve God, but also maintain the ecological setup. So this issue, yes, study the Roman, we must also look at the church ecology. The church ecology, which is a different conversation altogether, but I just wanted to check this in. Now, the structure of the book of Romans is a very simple structure, which will help. Mibusa said, so what address issue we say now, how would you address it? Inipa bebre suggest say in fact a biblical say they will present a balance, they will present Christ. Now see what Paul did, and you will see most of the things are more kind. In fact, that is what Paul actually did. Into the structure of the book of Romans, the first 8 chapters, Paul talked about the gospel. Can you imagine that? The first 8 chapters of focus on the gospel. In fact, the first introductory parts, chapter 1 to 7, verse 1 to 17, and he showed the history, how the gospel came, unknown role are all playing the gospel, and then how the gospel is helping the people in Rome, and how the gospel is actually going to move us forward. That is how he started with chapter 1, verse 1 to 17. If you don't can say the entire gospel, why we need the gospel? In a faith, chapter 5 to 8, or talk about the benefits. Why do you need it? What are the benefits for taking the gospel? Now we know that the gospel is the good news of Jesus Christ. And Paul presented Jesus Christ, but he didn't use Jesus Christ because the Jews didn't believe in Jesus Christ. They didn't accept Jesus Christ whole and whole. They had of course, the Christian believing Jews not accepted Jesus Christ, but they still see Jesus Christ still as a shadow of the law. And now you have the Gentiles now almost receive Jesus Christ as the only thing. So the only thing we know. And Paul was actually coming through the middle ground and said, then let me focus on the good news about God through Jesus Christ, which is the gospel. And then, as we will find out, chapter 9 to 11, he spoke about the gospel to Israel, because we know some talk that issue. Then we go to the 15, and the gospel in everyday life. And this is where Paul branches out into the ecology, into say, we are Christonia. That's what the Omanica do emraniso to your Omanica, you say, the weak, the strong, helping with the community. So we a slave who cry now, respect your master. He acknowledged the ecology of the people in a faith or the concluding remarks about it. With this, let's read chapter 1 to 7. That is how the book is introduced. Young kind, chapter 1 to 7. I'm sure one of the kind.
Okay.
Yo, Pastor.
Chapter 1, verse 1. No?
Yeah.
Ose Paul, yes, Christo Aqua, our friend say, O mayor or smartphone, where you know, as you ho ama unyanko poisem. Our nam na di for so share no Bossier a tre in some conclusion. One neba hunam fam wɔwoo no David aseni no na ɔde tumi ayi no akyerɛ sɛ Onyankopɔn ba ahoteɛ honhom fam awufoɔ sɔre mu ɔno ne Yesu Kristo yɛn Awurade a yɛnam ne so anya adom ne asomdwie dwumade rebrɛ amaaman nyinaa aso ase ama didie ne ne din nti na mo a wɔafrɛ mo sɛ mommɛyɛ Yesu Kristo dea nso ka ho me Paul metwerɛ de kɔmaa Onyankopɔn adɔfoɔ a wɔwɔ Rome nyinaa a wɔfrɛ wɔn sɛ ɔmmɛyɛ ahoteefoɔ no adom ne asomdwie a ɛfiri yɛn Agya Nyankopɔn ne Awurade Yesu Kristo nka mo.
Amen.
Amen.
Person so my and so good. And this is what it Paul etro. What are we hearing? Ediana who I can cancel. What are the key points? Some of the key points are who I can cancel.
Na Paul pese we Yesu Kristo edi kyerɛ ahotefoɔ a wɔmo wihwa na ɔkyerɛ Yesu Kristo asese ofiri David aseni no a Onyankopɔn yi ne tumi akyerɛ no nduhwa na Yesu na no opagya no akyerɛ wɔn.
Okay.
Imagine.
Good. And I think you have made a very, very good spot. Say opagya Yesu na wɔkyerɛ Yesu na se ofiri David ebusuanim. Okay, good. Mama, that's it. A dear beam no this spot here.
So Saka GDS obedience of faith. Say be ebeti Onyankopɔn asɛm yenam GDS to beti Onyankopɔn asɛm.
Obedience, faith, and so but when you now the already introduce remember, said this is a church and you're on the father. This is the church and you're on the tail. And he is writing to them. And it's very interesting how our share what Paul is actually saying. Now, the first part, you use some words or say Paul. In fact, in the first verse, just the introduction. Bond servant, apostle, set apart. Paul, a bond servant of Jesus Christ, called as an apostle, set apart for the gospel of God. Now, so we share more. Paul ochre ekwanya ono Paul no ebeye nyamesumu ni. Na dwuma nyamesumu no ogidi se oyo de wo frɛ no enti actually Paul's divine calling. Now, where that we use to no, which is the bond servant no, akwa eye obi a in fact in akwa, but enye akwa as in said the SBI see adwene akwa ehuna. We are talking about somebody who is subjected to the will and the holy will. Nipa nipadua nyinaa is at the disposal of another person. And if you take the issue of servant, he is not talking about partial submission. Oh, say as if say me wo as if say me ni ho. He's talking about a complete surrender. And when you see that word, I want you to keep an eye on that word. Then he goes on to say apostle. He goes on to say apostle. Now, that word that we use to as an apostle, who is an apostle? Because sometimes a programs are about apostle, this apostle, that. Who is an apostle? And make no mistake, Sometimes you use the word messenger. At the apostle, in fact, Greek and they say apostolos, which is ubia, ya sending as a delegate, an envoy, a messenger. Ya commission is one baby. But the difference between an apostle, in fact, that translation, is not the complete essence of apostle. Apostle, ubia, a man sent out by Jesus Christ himself. So you should have seen Jesus Christ himself. So who order yemu and I will be na so when you are the call na it's fine, but that doesn't make you an apostle. That makes you a good messenger, a pastor, a priest, whatever. But as an apostle, you should have actually come into direct contact with Jesus himself. Metaphysical state. Semi-physical state. And that is the only criteria to be an apostle. That is why we have only 12 plus Paul. Because Paul, the episode on Damascus, he saw Jesus himself and he had a direct encounter with Jesus himself. And that is why Paul is the 13th apostle. And that is why, no matter how good and committed we see the commission, it doesn't make us an apostle. But also use another word, set apart. Set apart. Some of the English, they use separated. In fact, that is the same word in holiness, if you know. Set apart. So we'll there are so many verses in the Bible where you see say obi etu ho asi ho say adwuma we say for the rest of my life, and no it defines set apart. Must set me apart from every other work, every other people, every other thing to focus on this. Now, so okasa na we say bomo. Paul say or introduction ho say me de me hu nyina, my whole will, my body, my life, my bibia is a servant, is of service. That's the first thing he said. The second thing is that God himself, Yesu himself, in a shiano, in a apostle, say, if you necro, I want you to be my bond servant. Into an apostle, or qualified apostle. And the third, say, on ye not dreams will be yamia part-time, but on also taking up the decision to set himself apart. Said he is going to deliver the gospel of God. That is how he introduced himself. Son will introduce him. Basi hampa chobi or question the ewo. Okay. Enti me gidi say yehu say Paul niema mienu. One or catch the Roman one say yes, nyame na mbete sorry ni minimo. Some of you may meet him with that. But do you know what? Asamoah maybe catch them. I am probably the most qualified person to proclaim the gospel to you. I am the most qualified person here. And that raises another question. Say, what about the other apostles? They say Peter, because I've been almost to say Peter, James, and the rest. Almost where. But we will come to that. We will come to that. But Paul is addressing the issue that related to the Romans, or say, I am very qualified to tell you what I'm going to tell you, because this is what I'm doing. But also he goes to the point to point out that Jesus Christ is the focus into, say, the bondservant of Jesus Christ, not the bondservant of to say Philemon and Onesimus, Modiana, and I say the bondservant to a Roman general, the bond servant to Jesus Christ. On only focus. And that is how he introduced the first part. Now, from verse 2 to verse 7, and he is now going to expand on one word. This is what he does. Or say, or the gospel name, and look at how he explains the gospel, which he promised. Into gospel na American 1:7. In fact, a bond servant of Christ Jesus, called as an apostle, set apart for the gospel of God. That gospel of God, you set me apart. I'm a apostle. I'm a whole servant. Now that gospel, Asamoah, it was promised, and now Auntie Lucy Kacher, it was promised beforehand through his prophets in the Holy Scriptures. And yet, be new. It is a way of Jew. Yes, you are following the right thing because it is that same source now with Jewish identity. A one as our gospel and so identity free. So we are Gentile. We are Asamoah. This is say we are Mamunia. That is also true. But remember, where the Jews are saying it started, it is the true source, and to embrace them. It was a which he promised beforehand through his prophets in the Holy Scriptures concerning his son, who was born of a descendant of David according to the flesh. Jesus Christ to ayawon with David through the tribe of Judah, because David, is just talking about the tribe of Judah, who was declared the Son of God with power by the resurrection from the dead. According to the Spirit of holiness, Jesus Christ, our Lord, Jesus Christ, gospel free it will show what he's saying of the gospel. Or say the gospel, of course, is good news. It's good news started from God and Jesus. The Old Testament echoed that good news in the Old Testament echoed Jesus Christ. Say Obeba, he will be the Son of God himself. Into the Old Testament Eka said, through the descendant of David, Yesu nebeba. Eka Yesua oye nyameba. Eka Yesua owo tumi so sorry for a wufuom. Eka Yesu who works holiness in the spirit. Yesu ne honkonku ye adwuma. Eka Yesu who is also our Lord. Nipa was here respecting. But on siwa to also say, through whom we have also received grace. Sa gospel ni mo ani e wa dom. Sa gospel ni na ma me to be an apostle, the apostleship to bring about the obedience of faith. Me gidie ni menti ase nyina no is on that gospel. And the more amunye Jewfo no, it is the same gospel na ma mo amoye Gentiles no. Mabenya fafadie wo Yesu din ni mu from verse 5 no. Obedience of faith among all the Gentiles for his name's sake. Yesu din mu and among more Gentiles no. That gospel no. And what about 6? Among whom you also are called of Jesus Christ. That same gospel no. If we Yesu nchen no na mamo abefrem Yesu ma. Now to all whom are beloved of God in Rome, called as saints, grace to you and peace from our God, Father, and the Lord Jesus Christ. Intermediate to us change said that Jesus, the gospel, Jesus who gives grace, who make the apostles, in fact, who bring obedience. So bet me a DBB so and you are then. Name a gidia when you was our gospel name and the mouth what they mouth to me, a you obedience. So we Jew new, so we Jew new. But interestingly, when you get to verse 5, Paul starts doing something. And this is why I put the first two questions. Paul doesn't mention any Jew in his introduction. He's writing to both Jews and Gentiles, almost Rome, almost fighting about their, so we say more, Yesu apomo, we say Yesu apomo, kramon kasem no yena asem no de ma ye ne ade adenti de omonya ayi. But Paul in introduction, when you get to verse 5, he mentioned the Gentiles. I didn't know what mentioned Jews, because you would have expected saying what try some of building middle ground, so the mark and Kabumwabano. Maybe verse 5, Nobeka said, through whom we have received grace and apostleship to bring about the obedience of faith among all the Gentiles and the Jews for his name's sake. But he eliminates the Jews, didn't he? Well, we will come to that quickly. Quickly. I just want to end on the 10 on the right side and say, Jesus, who have called you also, the gospel make you Gentiles in Rome saints. Sa gospel na maka ho asem no na ama me maye de maye no sa gospel na me de brem. But sa gospel no na mo Gentiles no ama mo be ka nyame ma no ho no ma be saints. Can somebody probably share which minimal chedienti of Paul are mentioning the Jews in the introduction?
I suspect, sir, because the Jews, already they had strong belief, or they claim ownership, or said the gospel is for them. It was or the Mawomu. Plus the fact that Womu Jews, Jesus Christ by, and he came among the Jews and all those things, I think there was probably a presumption, say, the Jews strongly have the belief, say, woman a gospel, the ma woman. And then these days, so catch the Jew for because I was more Sabbath no nyamwa, farm, nyamo, my Jew for, and yada. I suspect to say, because of that strong belief, and then everybody knew, say, Jesus came among them, nothing, until the beer, one mention. So it's my thinking, no.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That is what I want, because I want us to approach this. Say we also need to critique, to look at, because I never carry it too. I never
Oh, yeah, Africa.
And I made say, but you'll be person on Casa. And I could feel.
Oh, make it say I mean, or we are try say or balance say onye be bias be one as we visa, because as we talk, I can once from the beginning, nipa mi no be a can one asem na or the letter here kwa come on. The music Paul say he was all you saying in him no or corner very careful in order not to offend anyone, and as it is an answer to say, or has a balance be now what do be a diamano and namo to say some yans a quaso and do be a dia day. Yes, or catch you be an or catch reno. To be we on within if you say bena and your offense to anyone and every bizarre.
Okay, Eda Kofiasi. Obi ani bibia ho a yebetimi ato
also say I saw here no person Jew for no who say Gentile for no so no ebetimi abeka friends say Jew for whom by virtue of the death of Christ. I think say maybe here though he's talking to the Gentiles, but in a way he's also talking to the Jews. Say look, the Gentiles is among us now, as opposed to it be separated the two of them.
Good. And it may be what you're saying. It may be sana edianet here. But do you take a step and go back and see? Say, the question is not the right question, because all along, what has Paul been doing? He's been talking about the Jews. Paul himself was a Jew. Born servant near apostleship, near those people in Yamesa selected woman. All the 12 apostles were Jews. Now, then he go back to mention the Old Testament, which is a Jewish document. In fact, he calls the most successful Jewish king, David, the tribe, Judah, he mentioned his name. Then he now brings everything through prophecy, say, even the Old Testament were prophesying, say, yes, now, Oba, we must have obedience of faith. You need to have obedience of faith. Someone you know be Jew for. And the reason why he is, and I think said that is the case, he is trying to walk carefully in the middle. Said the Abaya, Oma will be unfeeling, said they are let off. Everything that Paul has said up to verse 4 was about Jewish. And in verse 5, he now brings grace, new kind of apostleship, adom, obedience to faith. Munye Jew for munye Gentiles in Mabeka. Are you beginning to see that now? But what you say?
I'm saying, says no Quran was say, na moi, what friend will say, Mumeka, yes, Christo, dear, yes, Christo, dear, unso come. Moi, what friend was say,
yeah, no, and among whom you are also.
And there's a what friend some Mumeka home. In the night, I said, do for no, what that I said they're walking, and what friend, I'm a man for no say. One more count, yes, or can you mean in a bet? Nyansa Kwasu no Faso, a can say dinner, benefit.
And so Woodrow now he begins to use a collective term, all, to all who are beloved of God. One can say to the Gentiles who are beloved of God, to all. This is the time he's bringing both the Jews and the Gentiles together. In Rome, you are all on the same treadmill. Because you're saints. And that is how he introduces the book or the letter. And you can see the summary of it. I like this summary. From verse 1 to 7, what do we learn? Is Paul divine calling? With the Mammy test, and the Mammy and Sabina Paul, like about the divine calling.
Bond servant, apostle, set aside.
Set aside, thank you. And the Mammy and send. And a faith, the message. And watch the message in us, Judaism message. Say if we Judah, David, the Old Testament, the same message in our Abraham, the same message in bringing the God of the Old Testament to the Gentiles. And nona abesumusui. Nona ya fremu abemu ya mabeka. Until now, you all are saints of God. The gospel of God, the good news about God. Now, materiality and physicality, HSA, stand for Jesus. So the gospel and the good news, we see the embodiments in Jesus Christ, Jesus Christo. The physicality of the gospel, the materiality of the gospel is seen in Jesus. But the gospel is also grounded on obedience in the faithfulness of God. That is the first 7 verses or they introduce the chapter or they introduce the first part. You bet me at waso kaka na se bre na so.
Your time.
Oh, okay, good. And then the next part, you heard the next block. Which Pacho besi hano obi o question wo.
But my question here, apostle. But I'm sorry, my brain now. I'm going to I'm penny for say apostle Kwadwo, apostle this, apostle that. But when business says a bit me about say and you mean na who Yesu and I say come shed and say papa say who Yesu as a revelation and I say in a dream and I say who in person. Meaning some question what yes.
Question no metiasia pa na answer no nie. So for Amos ewa ha say yeah press up for Amos apostle Amos if we say and as for say what you doing
And one okay no so
yeah friend apostle Amos because what I say I'm sure I says of when you are called to go into ministry. And I believe the call probably the same call a lot of people the same call in Isaiah but Isaiah didn't call himself apostle because that time an apostle no anything. The only people who were called apostle were the people in Yamesumom, the 12. And Yamesumom said, go ye therefore. And God was saying this instruction directly to them. There can only be 12 apostles. We are seeing. In him say yes, of course. Except say there is a new revelation there. Yes, na pie ne nipano enya a new revelation there will be that in where Jesus is in person, which, well, you can't say never, but you can actually see that happening. Until say you cannot take the apostle title on yourself. However, these people are almost taking that title on themselves. When they say, when you call, when you friend, nyame ina. I mean, a long story on Pentecostalism. Okay. How they grade their ministerial. Minimum. I be on Pentecostalism ana. Yeah. And the same sort of processes a little in speaking in tongues, and those a movement which started in early 20s, 20, early part of the 20th century. No, what is it? 20s. If we the year 1900s, urban. That is when this whole movement started. In a lady to this whole apostolic idea. Yeah, we in fact, even local Catholics to Mukrana, the apostolic creed, they only as the apostles because it was written by them and it was passed on to the councils. In fact, the councils of Nicaea and then that were discovered and they started using it as their creed. I think so. We will say as much as possible. No?
Actually, to me, the second one. Yeah. Apostle, any prophet, difference ben because you really enjoy why that on I'm so Yesu or heaven Yesu, but we know her as a prophet. Say, what's the difference between apostle and being a prophet? Question no there.
Question no da hopa minim say Asamoah kasa do na mpese metie amount for so a response. Now my started with would you say what is the difference? Who's the difference near then?
But when we did this kind a sort of revelation. That's all more. Either say through diason and I say I don't know really how it works.
Okay. All right. Okay. Why are they mum? Fact, me put you on the spot, but why are they? Any more ideas? Difference between apostle and prophet.
I said there. The prophet no ye near be a nyame yi dachi bi nsɛm kyerɛ wɔn mu. Ebi sɛ prophecies nneɛma ebesi dachi no nyame yi na di kyerɛ wɔn mu. Ɛna nea wo kyerɛ Yesu de obi a wahu Yesu ankasa ne nanante. Na what sɛ de asuafoɔ no ne Yesu Kristo nante ye no. Nti no wɔn no de nyame yi akyerɛ no ne nea ohu Yesu no. Em say difference boom kakra. Ene bia ye nyina etimi so da ekura bia obosu da na atemu da eba ne ade ade. So no enye prophet.
Yeah.
The obo anyame yi da kyin sema ne ebesisie te se maame white die a ene ma anyame yi kire ne mfie bebre atwabum. A ene ye hu se sa ne ma ne nyina ede e koso no. Ene bia Isaiah nom de nyame yi kire wo no. Eno ne me madwene mu fi se wo ne prophets. Ena de ye kan so ye wɔn a bi a wɔn ne Yesu Kristo nante yɛ ne bi wɔn hu Yesu Kristo no wɔn nso ne apostles no.
That's it. That's it, Mama Lucy. Adeɛ baako a mɛka no yɛ sɛ deɛ aka no nyinaa yɛ saa. Adeɛ baako a mɛka ka ho no yɛ sɛ mpanimfoɔ sɛ wɔhwɛ the work of the apostle no has a commission. Commission sɛ ɔmfa the gospel nkɔ abɔnten. Unim say senka ye shepa omo from who apostles ni nyina, we should actually see them senka morning, afternoon, evening. They be from tents to halls, from streets to cabinet rooms, from villages to cities. No more, because to be an apostle, you have a commission to send the gospel. Matthew 28, go ye therefore and teach all nations. That is the work of the apostle. That is a commission. Apostle with human. Into Yeshua Paul, you see, say, Paul traveled more than any of the apostles during the time I read the Bible. But guess what? Thomas, he went as far as to India, because he took the commission seriously. Apostle is not about revelation. Revelation is a different gift altogether. So Benyan is what in Tiwoshe first na prophets na where they from we see a seer. Meaning say nyamye yi bibia kire na manahu in a walk actually. Into a prophet. Into for baby to say John, I know your apostle. You could see, say towards the end of my life, he got also an additional gift to become a prophet. And that is why we saw the revelation through him. And there are two different things. Prophets in Yaniswadi, no, they are boy of course, they be a benyan. But apostle there, the Nyamea catch there, I don't know what catch because something like a teacher, a preacher, an evangelist. I would there Asamoah. That is an apostle. In him say boa kakra. Good. And then from Choy, yan to us kakra and then the next block no ansana. Yeah, to us. Now there is something about Rome. Message say, Patroyan to us on kind from 8 to 15.
19 person. Was it the kind say? Munina anti, Minam Yesu Christo so, Madame Yankopon ase. If we say, Wakamudi dear who asem we are singing. Minam dance ni ho asem na me dance ni onyankopon me som no me honhom mu ne ba no ho asem panimu se me nyai ni din boda me mpai bomu na mesre da se ebia onyankopon pa da bi onya me kwan pa na memra mo nkyɛn ifiri sɛ m'ani agyina sɛ mehu mo na mede honhom adom akyɛdeɛ bi mabrɛ mo abɛhyɛ mo den ɛne sɛ ɛnam mo gyidie ne me deɛ so yɛn nyinaa benya awerɛkyekyerɛ wɔ yɛn mu nso anuanom mepɛ sɛ mede besi mo sɛ mempɛ sɛ mede besie mo sɛ mɛbɔ me tiri mu mpere pii sɛ anka mɛba mo nkyɛn nanso wasi me kwan abɛduru sɛsɛɛ na manya mo nso mu aba bi na me nso manya mo mu aba bi sɛ amanman a aka no mede Hilafoɔ ne Pontofoɔ anyansafoɔ ne wɔn a wɔyɛ adwene mu harefoɔ no ka saa nti na mefiri m'ahoɔden nyinaa mu masiesie me ho sɛ mɛka asɛmpa no makyerɛ mu wɔ Roman nso.
Good, Auntie Lucia, that's a what kind of come. A dear na a catch your attention. What this passage, you with me actually.
So we have all chassis no. Seniana estro na ye day bano. So you sue or say first I thank my God through Jesus Christ for you all. So I'm finding chimbia and the amum so we junior and as we gentani. Nemo munina nipani no Odenya miase ewo nipa ni nyinaa ho sɛ wɔte wɔ mu nyinaa de egidi ɔse yɛ ka mu nyinaa egidi ɛho asɛm di ɛnso ewu sɛ Paul de sɛ nea ɔde ba no ogusu nam nyansa kwan so na ɔde yɛ dɛ ɛtwerɛ na sɛ ɔde yɛ dɛ ɛba.
Yeah. And I think say you now yesua there because you see say I mean I keep going back to somebody like Augustine of Hippo. He was saying say look so be a ninya you can even kill the person and you're okay. But after the encounter with Paul he realized say no I must learn to live with that person. Are you beginning to see why this book had a long-lasting impact on a lot of people? Just by video. Are you beginning to see that?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Pacho, obifu for so be asked to be view.
So
Obian sport to be biawo. And Emma Omo, near Mashi Munka Mintre.
Okay, on Pibum all the time.
Okay. And on Uhuno Hefa.
Verse 10.
Verse 10. Good. Yes. Now, what about throughout the world? Verse 8, because your faith is being proclaimed throughout the whole world. And Roma Christopher, no more popular, so I say we are seeing now be anymore.
Sounds like. And also idea. Your faith is being proclaimed throughout the whole world. Yes. Yes.
Na o pampam kakrana.
Okay. Enti ebia yefem free ho and sometimes all kind Bible you come across certain phrases the moment you start say what a phrase in a better context the woman on for example Deuteronomy
There's a signal na ko bad.
So I'm cross so sir include hello.
We miss a lot. We miss
Hello.
a lot. I think that the signal na very bad until yeah. You may say a lot. Pastor, what do you think?
I met him on cast they say, Patromotemenka.
I feel your guy.
Oh, Monkafra. Patro Hena Motidru, the name there is article of
What says so okay Deuteronomy, a honey tifri
okay.
You.
Yeah. Now me can say what kind Deuteronomy chapter 7-8 corner. Nyame ka kire Israel for say so mo cross promised land now. They should destroy all the cities. In fact, obo enkro verse 7 bidding the Perizzites, the Hittites, the Moabites. Obobosa enkro ni nyina di na o use a term bi or a phrase bi or say you must utterly destroy them. Now, sir, word that we use to honor. What is interesting, say, at Twasu, Ekokase, they were utterly destroyed. Just a Brunibeka was Torre massacre or Sebi Biao. And someone will be a friend of Richard Dawkins, one of the people Yaman is Kabibre, say on fire and winning a lot of young people away from God. Now, or a lot of debates, or atheists. In fact, there are about 4 or 5 of them are almost very very popular and very ruthless. Almost militants. Almost they don't have mercy. So much here anybody or Christian and I say yeah. Almost try some best say was secret just say no she. Now, one thing Dawkins and Crawford they accuse you say nyame enye nyame. In fact, or you see a lot of very difficult words. I mean to mean can be crowd has said. And they describe God. So where you bully, or you this, or you that, or you that. Now nyame no crowd no ni hono or if you or I mean, which doesn't make sense. Which is anybody in the or the characters which, but anyway. Omoko to these kind of verses in the Bible say, Nyame initimoden or you'll be of course genocide, authority passe. That doesn't make him even a god, because this text are making or say, and God told them to utterly destroy these people, these 7 nations. What is shocking, say. Your argument and what they forgot, says, Oko baby to say Joshua. In Kra, after some betna say, Omo atna say, I say, Omasi, Atori, Omasi, Yakoso, genocide on them. These countries are still there. In fact, some of them are the people are almost trouble Israelites. Some of them are the people are Israel ware with them. It is the question here, say, how can it be possible, say, Ubi ya Torenasie, Yashina, Kruno, Yasen, Yakum Wankwala, Ma Mema, Yakum Bibiash, Kruno, no BF, Yatoriasie. How can it be, say, 2 years down the line? No Kruno, is so huge. Woman Israel, How do you define that? There are sections of the Bible they use a certain writing approach. We call it hyperbole. English. You say as a mama na is so huge. With a bit of taste, as sound so bigger than it normally is. And I think, sir, that is what Paul is trying to do here. It doesn't mean Asamoah can pray, but he's actually creating a sense of exaggeration. Inti where we used to say, because your faith is being proclaimed throughout the whole world, and we need to put that whole world in context. And maybe say popular. So what do we learn? What we learn, from verse 8, he focused on praise or praise or booma baso. Kofi you see the word all. First, I thank my God through Jesus Christ for you all. If we say, because if we say, your faith is being proclaimed throughout the world, say, at this time, both the Jews, Christians, and the Gentile Christians, and no more, it has become popular around the nations. Adentia. History, Ebema say, Claudius, this is AD 49, or census, or Kamayekai in Rome. In fact, that comes as one of the major census in the world. One kind who said during Yesu, Mary and Joseph echo Bethlehem, because of what? Census. And every time and then, now Roman as a governance, a system, now they do a lot of census because they believe in said the better governance. Said the Claudius during the time, which is around 18 AD 49. According to depending on what estimates are, there were between 40 to 50,000 people in Rome, just the city of Rome, 40 to 50,000 Jews. But now they were fighting with the Christians. The Christian Jews and the Gentile Jews were fighting. And the name of the person was Christus. And we know, sir, Christus, the name Christ. Money and in the Roman, they said Christus. And what Paul was actually saying is, if we are singing anything, but because in Nipa from the time where Claudius sent the away. It was something that everybody around knew. It was a common knowledge. And Paul echoes it throughout the whole world. He's not talking about everywhere in the world, but he's talking about a certain jurisdiction. Both see a sake woman, or bringing them in now because of religious uprising among the whole kingdom, especially in Rome. Taking a lot of decisions now, creating a lot of headlines. That is what Paul is talking about. And we must actually put that in perspective. Let's see that statement. I'm saying this because I've heard so many things about this phrase. It be a very, very funny. But I think so I've just put there in say Paul was giving a commendation. Praise Roman believers, not only Jews, but also the Gentiles, for their faith. Now that word in the pistis, as we go forward, because a very interesting word, which means either faith as unujidie, and as a faithfulness, nokwaredie. And this term is used so many times, especially in the book of Romans. Faith and faithfulness. Remember the issue of Paul about the gospel, how it brings people together. So one would not determine you're too spiritual, and you're too liberal, but they will still hold together the faith of the gospel and move forward. In Paul, that was about Hassan. Now, as we go forward, we also learn. And here I've put some text in red. All the texts are verse 9 and 10 Paul is praying for them. He claims that it's not but he remembers them. He has them at heart. And we see a bit of his private life of prayer. Say he had interest in the Ecoso Rome. In a faith, watch the mission is so be more but or pastoral duties. Can you say apostolic duty to teach the gospel? Pastoral duty to care for members who hold the gospel. And here we see a pastor. Paul is also acting as a pastor because he showing say, I care for you. And that is quite important. But the things I'm there good read in Munina, the person will be kind mammy. Some whom is screen and person will be kind mammy from church. Maybe be a manaka mammy. They might highlight in red in Nina.
Okay, so Brofnimo and 9 no red no say or say I may succeed in coming to you. 11 or say I long to see you.
But your mommy just 1 minute. Just 1 minute.
Pastor, you're not Tikwana.
Or see a man in minutes.
Okay.
Hello, Penny4. Monkafra. Me soft penny a bag and go in the office, but my sending it off. All right. 18 Pacho, young rapping it up now. Yeah, Yemfa and yeah. Now make us say Edda Coffin Pacho can rest in the Mayan Pacho.
Near the kind of 9 no at the end no see I may succeed in coming to you.
Okay.
And I feel or say I long to see you.
Okay.
So and I say or say I have planned to come to you.
Okay.
Now and then also say I am eager to preach the gospel to you also who are in Rome.
Good. I left one in. So I had 13 after the brackets now. Now I can be in red. So that I may obtain some fruits among you.
Yeah.
And Otoasua, even as among the rest of the Gentiles. Anyway, Dear na red, no. What do you see? Dear ma highlighting the red, no. Dear na chiro. What is the key message a woman?
I long.
Okay.
I may succeed. I long to see. I have planned to come to you. I am eager. So no Paul chere enigi awowo ene kwa opeso onyame adwuma nda na koma pono so a opeso ko hunu agidifo.
Good. Enti yehu I. But I think the critical thing say opese okoho. Meaning se muhu eno a.
Aye.
And you can see say kono opeso okoho no. The very thing I was explaining before. Once we can explain the pastoral roots. Say he cares about their needs. But it's also concerned about his missionary calling. Say it was day or church but a woman say mean to me my dear, but me let a bit me aba. And that is why he's taking time to explain. Say me letter na Ebanona is as equally important as me coming there because I long to come there. Na meba a brand so meba. And you see, sir, in the conclusion on this part, the apostle of the Gentiles, you can see, sir, never in his life had he visited, and I feel just, a very interesting phrase there. The apostle of the Gentiles had not visited the capital of the Gentile world, but he intended to visit Rome in person. And we see, say, Paul is motivated by a combination of love and love, his love, but also the needs of these people. And to me, I find this to be very, very powerful. Listen, to be interested in your own your own love for the work of God is one thing. But to be interested in the needs of other people is very important. I say rescue the perishing, care for the dying. Yes, I want to rescue. I want to help. I want to rescue. But your rescue comes with a purpose. When you have real intent, and as we go through, I believe that we can highlight this even more. And in conclusion, what do we get from this point? We get, say, the main theme from 8 to 15, Paul is longing to visit the church in Rome for the purpose of mutual encouragement. See, chapter 16 or stating now, say, meba munye sika ready, ma bejiska because me pesa asem ne kra me de to asuko Spain, but I'm interested in my needs that we need to solve. And I think that is a very powerful lesson for yenyina. Enti yede ebesi ehase na ebi asebisa na asem wabi wo ho a yede abansa na ya rapo.
Amen.
And then 1 to 15. Yeah. Damas.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
But bit me with a question.
Mama. Yeah.
I am the equation na minti 14. Was it me the hila for ne onto for enyansa for
Yeah.
anyone now will know adwunim hare for ka no ka.
Yeah. My main sound friend too. So that's, yeah, you are right. In fact, I should have not more question be crowd, but because he uses a very good into 14. And to barbarians, both to the wise and to the foolish. Now, Pastor Matimenka. Okay. Good. And who Greek for the here for? So Paul, based on the Yeshua, no Paul can Greek. I have to refer to them now. Yeah, but in the context of Rome, and I have to Greek for.
No.
Okay.
Jews.
And non-Jews. The Gentiles are working who are saying, the Greeks, the barbarians. Now, barbarians, so we share map. In fact, there was but a documentary about the Roman Empire. Now, make sure didn't make sure the situation is here. Sometimes the lifestyle is here. Now, the many boo, the cost of Rome, the cost of Paul, Abraham, any all these things that can want some more acts. Any year. These barbarians are people from Germany, from Norway, from all these areas are normally descended by the southern part into Italy. And they were constantly fighting against Rome. They were always into Roman Tokomukunina. They were not fighting it even to the east. Say towards Turkey. No. It was the Antokoninano was always to the west. The barbarians. If it is Switzerland, France, Ecofa, Germany, Ecosroho, these were all people. They were always fighting against the Romans because they didn't want the Romans to actually capture them. In Rome of one saw say they had actually conquered northern part of Africa. So we had a prophecy, Daniel prophecy, the four kingdoms they divided, and remember said we had one of them, Ptolemy, who came down to south around through a hononona. The Roman history a building, and gradually it had its headquarters in Rome. And you see, say a kingdom started now it is fighting to mainland Europe, trying to capture everyone. But the reason why the Bible referred to them as the barbarians, is simply because they were barbaric. They kill, they cut your head, they dig near the wash form, near the Ponkwafa. So near Momoyano were so bad. And most of the time, the reference to barbarians now referring to these kind of people are no more pushback against the Romans. And the Romans were also very vicious. Almost also will capture you into a very fierce and so we are talking about all these people. Remember, when they are caught as slaves, some of them are brought to Rome and they serve. But what serve we are, you can be a free man. I mean, slavery in Roman, on its own. But I think say because we need to understand what slavery means in the context of the New Testament, which is completely different from say slavery as say even young as begins we need to have a study on as we go along. The issue of shame, Anna, and also I think so we need to spend some time on because a boy so directly to the question, when Paul says, I'm under obligation both to Greeks, he's talking about those people are not only in Rome, but Greeks, as in Greek, non-Jews, and also to the barbarians, or more, even Roman Empire, not fighting against them towards the north of the western part, towards them, including England and Britain, including here. They were all part of this, and he's referring to non-Jews, yeah.
Almost almost
That's right. And and this is something that Paul letter can wise and foolish. Wise and foolish. A way to categorize everybody. There are or the friend will be yeah. All right.
Okay, that's it.
Okay. And yeah, you bet me a jama the question. So except say be as in bisa fufu bi or her.
Agnes Campacho also.
Achane.
Okay, Pacho Twaswai.
Okay. Pacho Pastor Das.